afternoon, everybody. We are on at JFL Live. We're going to have a great show today. We're going to really talk about some things that some people may not want to talk about. We're going to get down and dirty, and then we're going to talk about what's going on around the league. I got in the middle John Henderson, who left his ugly jerseys up and then disappeared. He'll be back in a few minutes. And then I got the man that needs no introduction, Mr. Marcus Pollard. What's up?
What's up, TG? What's up, Jacksonville?
Hey, we're going to get down. Hey, Marcus, listen to me and you get right into what's the biggest thing that's going on. Black Panther, the man, the myth, the man that put the hero back out there for black people just to go crazy about, dies. Man, what happened?
You know, it's crazy. You mentioned the Black Panther, but you talk about some of our heroes. He also played James Brown.
Yep.
He played Jackie Robinson. And then, they just had the Jackie Robinson Day for Major League Baseball the other day. And the day he died is the day that they, recognized Jackie Robinson. And so to have a figure like him, a public figure, a black hero to most of us, to see him go that fast and that sudden, it's crazy just to wrap your mind around.
Man, I know a lot of people called me last night because at first we thought it was a prank. I thought it was a prank, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it just caught me by surprise because especially somebody that, as famous as him, normally you don't have any privacy. It gets out quick.
Right.
Special thanks to his friends and family because they really kept this close to the vest and let the man enjoy his life. But I mean, I'm sure it was a surprise. I mean, it was painful. I mean, there's so many people out there that's just still,
that's hurt.
They hurt.
And to your point, TG, they did such a great job of keeping it a secret and keeping it private for him that for us who are fans of his are grieving more because we didn't know. We didn't get time to prepare. We didn't have him going to the hospital and say, well, he's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and, he's got 2 weeks to live. You can kind of wrap your mind around that. A lot like we were talking earlier about Kobe. You don't get a chance to say, okay, this is the last day or last time we'll get a chance to see this person. And so you don't get a chance to prepare. So I do respect the fact that they kept it such a secret. But again, it leaves all of us grieving and mourning, like, how did this happen? How did it happen so soon?
Man, my prayers go out to the family and to the friends.
Absolutely.
And we lost a great figure. I tell you, we talk about a lot of things offline, and man, we talk about 2020. Man, I tell you what, there's going to be a book written about 2020 because 2020 just has been disastrous.
It's been crazy, bro. It's been crazy. Think about hurricanes that's already hit Louisiana. There are more to come. We had COVID-19. Kobe died. The Black Panther died. And so you don't have no football season. Schools have been canceled. Football seasons have been canceled. Black Lives Matter. We've had people die. I mean, there's been so much stuff, and the list goes on. In 2020, it ain't gonna just be a book. It's gonna have to be a movie, TG, because so much stuff has happened, bro. There's no way you can just capture all of it. It's gonna be like Forrest Gump's life. You're gonna take just from January to December of 2020, and you can tell a whole story and make it a movie because all the stuff that's happened. It's just been crazy.
It's been down. Somebody asked me the other day, my birthday is in October, and they said, what you doing for your 50th birthday? And I said, man, I just want to survive and I just want to see it. I mean, it's just so much going on that I don't care. At the end of the day, I just want to be with my grandkids and my kids and just be able to just chill. I don't care. I've done a lot in my life. I just want to see 50 because 2020 don't guarantee you anything.
Nothing.
If we get to see 2021, all we can do is, Happy New Year's for 2021 is going to be a hand clap. Everybody's going to be happy to make it. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, it woke a lot of people up as far as, hey, I didn't call my mom yesterday or the day before yesterday. Now you got people calling their moms every day because you just don't know. You got the kids calling home. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Just want to say hi because you just don't know anymore. Yeah. So from one aspect that 2020 has done is it's brought a lot of families closer together and made them realize, hey, I better take advantage of the day because tomorrow is definitely not promised.
Absolutely. And to me, if you always try to look for the silver lining in these kinds of situations, this whole virtual thing we're doing now, had it not been for COVID, we probably wouldn't be using this near as much. And then you don't have an excuse to have a family member in New York now to say, I don't know the last time I seen such and such. You can video call those folks nowadays and have a conversation. So it's not like you can't get out and still reach out and have these kind of dialogues on virtual calls. And then you can still see them and talk to them, different than FaceTime. So you don't have no excuse anymore.
And everybody that you reach out to your family member, man, go and make sure you see them online and show them some love. I talk to my mom every day. Me and my mom are really close. Matter of fact, sometimes my mom watched the show, and since she knows most of the guys, and she know John and I've been best friends forever, so she know John. So my mom will call me up and say, "Hey, you and John better not be cussing on the show today."
And I bet you don't cuss neither.
That's right. So me and my mom are good friends, and we've always been really tight. And before my dad was gone, me and my dad was tight, and y'all got to meet my sister. Me and my sister are close, and me and my brothers are close. My sister acts exactly like me. Everybody got to witness that. They'll witness it again when she's on the show. My sister's a go-getter, man. She, and this just brings us even closer. And like you said, if somebody lives out of town, you still don't have a reason to reach out and just say, "Hey, I see you on camera and know everything good. Can't hug you, but we almost do hug." So virtually, we got it right. So everybody watching the show, make sure you reach out to your mom, your cousins, all those people that you don't get to see, because 2020 is rough. 2020 is rough.
Rough is an understatement right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how to put it. Like you say, they're going to make a movie about 2020. It's going to be 3 hours long.
Yeah. It's going to be a series. It's going to be a mini-series.
And so, the other thing that we take pride in is on the show, we don't take sides in politics. John and I, all three of us agreed that when we started the show, one thing we wouldn't do is take sides on politics. And we still stick to that 100% to this day. What we do tell everybody is, listen, go out and vote. And if you don't vote, then the next day, don't complain. Just don't say nothing.
Absolutely. Because to me, you that's the one thing that, if you look back at history and people that fought and struggled to want to have a say-so in a voting campaign, never had that opportunity. And here we have it free of charge, and we don't take advantage of it. So I encourage and invoke everybody listening and watching to get out there and go vote. We're doing a huge voting campaign with the organization here with the Jags and the players. And so if you see some of that content, those PSAs going out, it's because everybody here, the one thing we did first, we made sure that everybody here was registered to vote. Now, whether they vote or not, that's still on them, but they don't have to, they can't say, "I'm not registered." Oh, yes, you are. You, in this organization, you are registered to vote. And that was one thing we wanted to make a point was this year, I agree with you not making this show about politics, because now you're going to make enemies either way, and nobody's going to be right. So you just give people the facts. Here are the facts. Here's what we're doing. You go out and vote. Voting is your voice. You go out and use it.
And I think people sometimes miss that in the fact that, you have people that, you have people that vote Republican, you have people that vote Democrat, you have people that vote independent. And then a lot of times people get so wrapped up, they say, "Oh man, if you vote Republican, you vote for this and that and the other, and I don't want to be your friend no more." And listen, at the end of the day, be happy that you have the ability and the right to vote. Right. And if you have the right to vote, it is a right to vote. That means you can vote for whoever you want, and nobody can fault you for that. Only time people can fault you is when you say, "Oh man, I didn't vote, but I hate that president." Nope, can't say it.
TJ, how about
you
this?
Can't put it out there.
How about this for an interesting fact? Only 56 votes separated the person, the candidates for president when this last election. Only 56 votes determined who got the electoral vote for Florida. 56 people. 56 people determined the outcome for the whole state of Florida. 56. How about that for a stat?
And see, that's a stat for you. Hey, Chloe Henderson, how you doing?
Guys, how y'all doing?
All right. Hey, Cedderick, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. How are you?
Man, welcome to the show. And Miss Henderson in the big chair, so, that's my sis. So so y'all know we did give our prayers and thanks to losing a good star last night, and we were just talking about everybody going out to vote. I know one thing y'all don't know about Chloe, and I know Chloe is big on this. Is Chloe's a big pusher for everybody voting, and that's one thing that everybody got to vote. We don't care who you vote for. Go out there and vote and make your vote count. And like Marcus said, 56 people made 56 votes could have made a decision. That's crazy. That's 56 people. All you have to do is go out there and vote. And so the 56 people that didn't vote, you can't complain.
Right.
Can't complain when you don't vote. So now let's talk about the big thing. This high school football thing. So John and I are really close. So John and I argue during the week, and so one of the things that we were talking about earlier in the week was, man, if a kid if he doesn't play this year, and in his state or in his city they're playing, where does that leave him if he's a junior or a senior? Where does that leave the young lady that plays softball, that she's in her senior year and she doesn't play? And so that's a fear that athletes are having right now. The parents are saying, hey, I love you. I don't want you dying. You're not playing. And the kid is saying, Mom, Dad, if I don't play, what chances do I have of getting a scholarship? I mean, where do we live? Where are we at? Where's the road that says you're gonna be okay or you're not gonna be okay?
Yeah, that's a tough one, TG, because in like just say the state of Ohio, you got NFL players are playing, and high school kids are playing, but the college guys aren't playing, and they're all in the same state. So to me, I mean, it's crazy to think that for have a kid who's a senior, even in college or even in high school, it's the same thing, because now do you reclassify, and then if those kids who may be possible for the draft, what happens to them now? Now do they get a chance to go back to school and play, or so it's just crazy. I don't know how they're gonna fix it.
Well, it's definitely been a conversation, a common conversation in our household over the last couple of weeks, especially with John having friends that are coaching high school students. And, in Nashville, I don't know if he familiarized you with the situation, but the Metro, which is the inner city kids, have been banned from playing football, but the county schools and the private schools, they are playing football. So, with them, they feel as though they've been slighted. Their concern is for the seniors who felt, this is their last opportunity to snatch a scholarship. Some of them need it this year. And, me being a mother, first, I just want to say, before even getting into solutions, because there are solutions, there are remedies. We just got to think outside of the box at this point. But, I think based on our everyday life right now, we can't be so naive to think we can just go back to business as usual. There are people that are being affected every day, that are losing loved ones every day, and this is the time in society that, athletes, we push through, we preserve, we perspire, we push through. That's what being an athlete is about. It's a time to teach these athletes that reality. This is about survival of the fittest. As a mother, my first priority, as a father, our first priorities is to preserve and protect our lives first, and then the lives of our children. And so, I don't think that we should knowingly put our kids into a situation, our fans, students, staff, faculty, anybody in a situation where you're flipping a coin with your life. Let's just say that first. That's my opinion on that. I stand firm with that. On the other aspect, we know like last spring, the NCAA, they extended out the credibility or eligibility for a year for those students that were affected for the 2019-2020 season. That's one of the things that I've discussed with John. We need to look at the alternative. What can we do going forward? Can we allow the seniors to come back and have another year of eligibility? Those that were banking on that last year, do we need to sit down and talk to our students that, they can't go to college because they don't have that year, about going to a junior college and taking those first year classes, but also playing on one of the junior college teams? because junior college is always an option. It's a way to get some good footage to go on to a D1 school or a D2 school. But when you have Division I itself and they've canceled out, sports, they've canceled out fall sports, as high schools, we kind of need to fall in line and recognize that if the safety guidelines have been put in place for those students that we're looking to compete one day on an NFL, NBA level, then let's teach our students to be responsible. We need to follow in those same guidelines. There are other options, but I think that would be a great option at your eligibility.
I agree. Cedderick, so what's going on in your world over there?
So for us, we're a go. It's been a mess. Partly because, the state of Florida is so big, and, you have the northern part of the state whose numbers are up, but they're not as bad as, the South Florida, like Orlando and below. So you have like areas like Orlando, Tampa, and, Miami areas where we've already started. Our first official week of games is this week. But then you have those areas down south that can't go this week. So like, I don't think they're going to start, and I think they're going to venture off from the FHSA and start their own league because they feel like nobody cares about them. But then in the same token, if we're able to play and our numbers are down and our kids are doing what they're supposed to do, why punish? And that's what they're saying. Why punish one group when we can play? Because up in the northern part, we have a whole bunch of rural schools who, unfortunately, kids have to play two sports. So if you move football to the spring, now those baseball kids won't be able to. Now you have to choose. Like, am I going to play baseball? Or am I going to play football?
I never even thought about that.
Basketball,
that's the biggest issue. Yeah, basketball is the same situation. I was saying,
all the sports out a season or just the fall sports?
Right now, we're just going fall sports. That's the only thing they were worried about. They'll take care of basketball when basketball gets here.
Right.
I guess they probably should start worrying about it now. Like, we're going at like 50% capacity as far as fans is concerned, and players can only have four guests at the games.
Man, how much has that changed from you? So when you look back on last year and you look at this year and all the different things you have to do for your students, that's got to be, you just added 10 hours to your workday.
You did, like checking temperatures, sanitizing the weight room daily, making sure, like, and for us, because like I'm coaching at a small school this year, the one thing I have to tell our kids is, hey, school starts Monday. Please, whatever you do, don't go to any parties. If y'all want football season to happen, just stay home. And if your parents are going out, figure out a way to stay away from them.
So that's interesting because what you just said is the conversation that I had with our guys. So we had the option. Well, the players had the option to opt out. And once we got past the date of opting out, everybody that was still in the building, I said, you got two reasons that you stayed. One is you want to get paid. Two is you love football. So don't do something that would jeopardize somebody else from doing one of the two things that they love. So don't go out to parties. Don't go doing the other stuff and bringing it back here. And then we can't get done what we want. So I made it not just about, winning games and playing football, but about other people's lives. And so when you go other places and doing certain things and you're bringing it back, that's a problem. So you're selfish in that manner, and don't be selfish. Do what's best for the team.
My question, though, is with knowing that you have those factors, and let's say the boys do everything that they're supposed to do, you still have those uncontrollable factors of parents going to work, them coming in contact with people at work. I know I'm the person in our household that goes out once or twice a month to do all the shopping. And, I do everything I'm supposed to do as far as wearing my mask and sanitize. We sanitize everything before it comes into the household. But in reality, I also know people that have taken those same measures and they've contracted the virus. I know people that have taken those measures and they were asymptomatic and they lost their whole family. You see what I'm saying? And I think when you've experienced that level of devastation, it's kind of like, how is it a safe way to proceed with so many uncontrollable factors and so many moving parts like a football team? It's not like basketball. You don't have 5 to 10 players. you're looking at a large number of people that also have other factors to consider.
And I agree with you, Chloe, because, John and I were trying to figure out, Marcus, last time we were on, me and John started trying to figure out how many people it take to be on the basketball court when a game is playing versus how many people it take to be at an NFL game.
Right.
And we started counting, and the numbers got crazy. We were like, well, don't forget this person and and the camera person, the person that's pulling the wire, and the person that's doing this. And we started counting, like, oh man, how do you control all of that? And how do you, who's the person that do they go out and hire a person that says your only job is to make sure that Tony and Marcus have said is doing the right thing?
Yes, we have that. Every NFL club has that right now.
Really?
At least one person. Yes, sir. Yes, wow. Sir. They are in charge of making sure we're wearing masks, make certain that we're compliant to all the rules and regulations that the NFL and NFLPA said we have to adhere to. And she has a tough job.
That's
to
a
walk
tough
around
job.
all day and telling somebody, put on your mask, put on your mask, put on your mask. Can get old. And the players like, golly, Cassie, I'm tired of you telling me to put my mask on. It's just part of it. But I also think that, I would like to have real data. I think I'm a statistic person. So when you start talking about who actually are contracting the virus, and of those folks that are contracting the virus, what age group and demographic are getting sick? I know everybody can get it, and I know a lot of people have died from the virus. But I think it's less likely that people who are healthy and working out are less likely to pass away. I think I'm still working on that stat.
I'm curious about the data.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the data because I tell you what, you've heard so many stories over the last month that nobody really knows what's true and what's not true.
It's unpredictable. This is an unpredictable virus that takes place in different people's bodies. It reacts differently. There are also different hybrids of this virus and different, just like the flu. You got different strands of the flu. You've got different strands of coronavirus out here. It's new. There's not enough research and data out there to make anything conclusive. Every day we're finding out the effects. We still don't know the real effects of people that have even come in contact with it. Because over in China and in other countries, people that have had coronavirus months after the fact of testing negative through the nasal are still testing positive through the stool. And they may not have any effects whatsoever for months, but then 4 or 5 months later, people are dropping dead or people are, all of a sudden having upper respiratory issues. We don't know the real effects of this virus on people. And just because our government and our leaders that are supposed to be leading our country are not taking it in a serious manner to the point of doing all that we could have done at first to shut this down, we as citizens, we can't fall in that same mindset of let's just go into this thing blindly, throw a Hail Mary and hope everything falls down right. When you're talking about human life. And even if the healthy athlete is okay, what about the family that he goes home to? What about the little brother or sister, the 1-year-old? I've got an 18-year-old son. I've got a 16-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 1-year-old. I've got a 60-year-old parent that lives with us, a mom that had cancer and had radiation. So there are so many other factors that we're touching people all around us. And this is the time we can't promote selfishness. That's what's wrong with our society. Even from a survival, we got to lock it down. We got to beat it. And beating it is not going to take a chance on spreading.
Well, I think that Cedderick. So I know things changed greatly for you, and there are so many factors on why to play and why not to play. And everybody has their. I guarantee you have a couple of seniors that are scared to death that the opportunity they thought they was going to have, they're not going to have. I've talked to some kids here in high school right here in Jacksonville, and they are terrified that, the parent, hey, my dad is saying they don't want me to play, but man, this is it for me. And so I don't know if colleges, what are the colleges doing to say, hey, if you don't play, it's not it for you.
The issue is the colleges aren't saying anything because, one, we're in that situation where it's a dead period. So, college can't call a kid and be like, hey, man, don't worry about it. If you sit out, like if you're not in the top 150, like you're in a situation where you have to play, because that's for some kids. And it's unfortunate. That's what we're telling these kids, from the hood, like this is your way out. And they've been brainwashed for so long to where if they don't make it, and you know how it goes, kid out of Jacksonville, kid out of Miami, if they don't make it out for athletics, are they going to worry about going for academics?
Well, why don't we take a different approach like the other kids, the other schools, they're pushing and colleges are encouraging this for those kids that are not playing. The staff get involved in helping these children to put together the video footage. They're telling students, look at the college, do the research, find the college you want to go to. Reach out to that coach on social media. Reach out to that position coach on social media. Contact them. Let them know you're interested. Get with your coach. Get you some film and some footage. Get with your kids. Help them run the 40. Tape them, video them.
It's not that easy. I mean, if it was that easy, it'd be a lot more kids out there with football scholarships. Football is not a situation where I can just put together.
But that's what schools are doing now in lieu of what the whole world is dealing with.
I guarantee you, the University of Tennessee, they already have their list of guys that they're already going after. University of Florida has the list of guys they're already going after. It's those guys who are out there who need the footage to get an offer from a FAMU and a Grambling.
But can we give them a different type of footage is what I'm saying. Can you give them footage that they're needing, but just a different way? We know that they can't play, but the colleges also know that they can't play. So what people are doing is like performing almost like combines where they're having these kids come in and train. You're teaching them what to do and how to do, and they're working on basically shooting their film at the end of the season so that they can show and display their talent. Even if that's in 10-on-10s or, doing the 40 and recording that, which kind of gives you an advantage because you're picking your top numbers. You're picking your best days and you're submitting that. And it does catch the attention of recruits, especially if you're not one of those kids they're going to sign anyway.
Well, I think what Cedderick's saying, and I see what Cedderick's saying because I'm even hearing it from the college level. And this thing works hand in hand. High school, you're trying to get out of the hood, and you're trying to get into a good school, and you're trying, you're brainwashed to say that you can't. It's all you can do, and we know we're better than that. But there's a lot of kids out there they believe that's all they can do, and then you get in college, and this is what's happening with college right now. So a lot of colleges said we're not going to play. You got kids that are getting ready to transfer so that they can play because it's their last year, and the NFL is taking the best of the best. And right now, I don't think anybody knows how the NFL is going to decide how they're going to pick their players.
Well, so these already extended out the year eligibility, so they're fine. I mean, the college students aren't in any pressure. They can play another year.
Colleges they're under a lot of pressure.
Huh?
The college is under a lot of pressure. And I think Marcus can tell you.
Because your NCAA guidelines have already extended it out where they can have another year of eligibility, as well as they've extended out the funding to the schools where they can still recruit for that year coming up, give scholarship as well as grants to those kids that was their last year, so they don't have to take out any more funding to pay for school. They've already put guidelines in place. That's So
and I'm with you on that. And we were talking about that during the week. And I agree with you, Chloe. But let me tell you what happened. This is the part that everybody missed, and this is why this COVID thing is so extreme in everybody's lives. So the colleges said, "Hey, you can extend out, or you can stay another year." Right. And so everybody got happy. Well, guess what that did? If you're a player and you stay in, the guy that's coming in that thought he was going to have a spot now doesn't have a spot.
Right.
So is he really going to still get that scholarship? So it's a cause and effect no matter what you do. And I think that, the bottom line is at some point, the NFL, college, and high school experts have to all get together and say, what is the right thing to do?
Right.
There ain't going to be no right answer.
You're absolutely right. There's not going to be a right answer.
There's not going to be a right answer because you can't choose for me what I want to do for me. And so to me, I think that's where all the pushback is coming from the athlete, whether at college or high school or pros. in the pros, they had an option to opt out. That was their choice. But when you have these Big Tens and you have these schools out west that says, okay, I'm taking the option away from y'all. And they're like, whoa, I should be able to choose for myself. So to me, if you decide like pro players did, they decide to opt out. If you're high school or college, opt out. And if you feel that's strong enough that you feel like you need to play and you got enough players to play, then you play. But then at least you make your own decision, and whatever repercussions and consequences come with that, you manage that. You take them. Whether you're taking it home to a grandma who's sick or you taking it to somebody or 1-year-old child, you have to figure out how to manage that. You said you wanted to play. As a parent, you're going to let them play. And a kid that said they want to play, you let them play. Now, that's on you. So to me, I think it's hard when you take that right, especially for a kid. If I'm the quarterback at Clemson, I'm not so excited about playing college football because I know I'm going to be the first overall pick. But that's the first overall pick. And when you're talking about a kid at the bottom that's trying to come up, hey, why are you taking my option away from me with the chance to play pro football, whether it's pro football or just finish my degree, whatever the case may be? I don't want to make it just about ball, but you're taking my choice, my decision away from me. Why I can't make a decision for myself? And if I'm 18, I can go to war. If I'm 18, I can drive. If I'm 18, I can smoke. Why can't I make my own choice about what I want to do with my life? To me, I think is the issue.
Marcus, I think one of the issues is when we're looking at what's going on right now, it's all about money, right?
Yeah.
College football, we can put those kids in some sort of bubble to prevent them from coming in contact with reporters and fans, and making sure that they're safe. But in a town like Gainesville, 70% of the income or finances are coming from Saturday footballs when Tennessee comes to town, when Florida State comes to town. Like,
and
I've seen
you're talking about local businesses too.
Right.
Around the state. Absolutely. Parking and everything.
It's a lot of stuff that will be affected. And that's what the government is more concerned about, the money aspect of it. Like, if we don't sell tickets, we can't sell hot dogs.
To prioritize money over our lives.
No, I'm not.
I mean, like, how long do we keep justifying it and going along with it as people?
That's what I said.
I just think people should have the choice.
I guess for me, it's just how do we have such a choice and how to rid the country of what we're dealing with when other countries didn't have the choice and now those countries are coronavirus free. We have 30,000 new cases every day because of this, quote, freedom of choice we want to exercise during a pandemic. Like, our country has never seen anything like this. You got to step away as people and realize no one's infringing on your rights. We're trying to promote health. And promoting health and thinking outside of yourself. We are a very selfish society. I understand everybody's thinking about me, my choice, my opportunity. But for the betterment of humanity, sit down, people. It's a game. I get it. But if that was your only way out, if that's for you, it's going to be for you. But like Tony said, I agree with you. There is going to have to be a coming together of everybody to take into consideration. We're dealing with a pandemic. Things are not business as usual for no one. There are schools that are not playing. Yes, the NCAA has extended out the year, so we took care of that part. But the NFL has to get involved. The high schools have to get involved. Everybody has to get involved to take that. We can't act like this is 2002 draft because it's not. Players are not playing on a college level. It's not.
So I want to take this in a different direction real quick. When you talk about the freedom of choice and people having that choice, explain that to the 15 people that got laid off downstairs in the ticket office today because we're not selling tickets. How do they pay their bills? How do they pay their mortgage? How do they eat?
And I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And how do you fix that one too? You know what I'm saying?
So that's where I was saying it goes back to the top. You look at Switzerland. What did Switzerland do? They gave their citizens $1,600 every 2 weeks. They had no bills but utilities. Everybody had to stop. Nobody could bill. That's the way you shut it down. You shut it down by shutting it down. Not a president that's giving trillions to businesses when that same money could have went into citizens' pockets to survive through this. We understand essential businesses like not restaurants, because they should have been closed too, but grocery stores and markets and your pharmacies and your hospitals, because those are necessities.
Right.
But everything else should have shut down. And it's still not too late to do it because to rid us of it, it has to happen. It's the only way it's been written. You know, we can look at the other countries that have successfully taken this thing on, but we have to demand it as people.
Right.
We have to shoot for ourselves.
So, well, your issue is now you're getting into politics. So, with the political aspect of it, you have to ask yourself, who's in office and who cares? So right now, it's all about money. When we shut the government down, now you got those companies worried about bankruptcy, worried about failing. I'm not making money, and it's all the president's homeboys and all his friends, and he had to make sure he's putting money back in their pockets.
How could they fail if everything was shut down? Nobody failed in Switzerland because everything shut down. Everything shut down. Everybody's at home.
But Switzerland,
nobody's losing. Switzerland, it's not making anything, but we're not losing.
Switzerland's not a country that's built on finance. We are a very greedy society.
We are, and that can't be our excuse.
Am I right?
I mean, we are, and that can't be our excuse. We're also a society that's fallen from being number 3 in education to down in the low 40s. So maybe that takes some place and some factor in our decision-making skills in the middle of a pandemic. We're the only country that's walking around here with 50 times the amount of people infected as most countries. We got to stop and realize that what we're doing is not right. So at what point do we take responsibility that we made a mistake? We handled this the wrong way. We want to go out here and we're voting for a president, and we can go out and march and riot because we don't want to wear masks. Like, march and riot for our lives. We want it to shut down. We want it to shut down, and you have to shut it down to rid us of this, and then we can go back to business as usual. Then we can live our lives as normal. Nobody won't feel slighted because nobody's playing. Nobody's making money.
But you gotta Switzerland shut down, you know?
I believe it took them, if I'm not mistaken, it was 6 months. I believe it was 6 months, and they came out, and when they came out, they had already had, was it 9 weeks had passed before they even announced that they were COVID-free. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was just a matter of getting ahead of it and shut it down. And we were very much ahead of it. But the reality is it's not too late. But it takes organizations like the NFL, like the NBA, like the MLB, those people that we're pushing for our entertainment to say, no, pump the brakes. We're not playing. We're not going to sacrifice your lives. We're not going to sacrifice our players' lives. And we're not going to continue to play this game with our government and act as if we don't see that our people are dying every day. Our people are.
That goes to my, me and Marcus, how we started this. 2020 is such a year of conversation and activity, all the way to the Black Lives Matter, which we know a lot of violence kicked off last week. And somebody asked me a question about all the violence. And I have a lot of friends that are police officers here. So I told them I would make sure that I say this. Listen, we're going to change gears. All cops aren't bad. And that's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing I'm going to say about that is, if your 15-year-old kid gets arrested at 3 o'clock in the morning, the question should be, where the hell is your kid and why are they out at 3 o'clock in the morning? And so as people, we need to start thinking about it. A lot of things happened in 2020. Some of the things that happened in 2020 could have been prevented. Listen, as parents, we need to start being parents. We need to know where our kids are. Right. Your kid is 15, 16 years old. Your kid should be in the house. You know, and the coach, I know coach, you're a parent of what, 40 people, 50? and it's not the coach's job to be 24-hour parent. Sometimes the parents got to be the parents. Coach, how many kids you got that's yours?
I have 2 kids of my own, but you know, in my program, I had 95 kids in my program, and you'd be surprised how many times you get a phone call at like 2 or 3 in the morning, like you're talking about. Coach, man, can you bring me something to eat? Coach, can you do this for me? Coach, my mama's tripping, she drunk. You know, those are the type of things, like conversations you have with kids at 2 in the morning. Yeah. And it's not fair to the kids, you know, that that's what they're going through just because their parents are jacked up in the head or strung out on drugs, you know. For me, I've always tried to be that parent to those guys. And then I always try to teach my kids. Like, I come home and have a conversation with my 13-year-old kid on a regular. Like, yes sir, no sir goes a long ways, and I tell it to my
That's right.
students. Yeah, if a lot of things wouldn't be happening right now if a person just said, "Okay, my bad, yes sir, no sir." Like, granted, there are terrible cops. I agree with that 100%. I saw a guy get drop kicked in the back the other day with his hands over his head. But then in the same sense, you see a white guy cuss the police out, and not get killed or shot. You know, I think that white America is terrified of us for some reason. I don't know what we've done in the last 20 years to make them so angry, but it's happening at a record amount. You know, and I think Will Smith said it. Like, racism hasn't gone anywhere. What happened is people just started recording it and posting it.
That's right. You know, the internet cameras go a long way, don't it?
Correct.
So in saying all of this, I don't know if you guys saw it, Marcus. Jaguars wholeheartedly impressed me this week. I tell you what, they made a move that the NFL has got to follow. They did a great, they've done some great moves. I mean, having you for these young players probably was the best move they ever made, because, the young players need some help. But now they did a hiring this week that caught me. I almost wrecked my car when I heard it on the radio. And I said, what is going on? And then Doug Marrone did his thing, and I was really proud of him. Tell us a little bit about the young lady the Jaguars hired.
Tanisha Tate. Are you talking about, Tony? Tanisha?
Yeah.
Well, Tanisha's worked in the foundation for probably about 8 years now, 9 maybe. And she was asked to take on this VP leadership of social justice. And she's done a phenomenal job in the space. And so to me, it's just a way for the NFL to continue to advocate for African Americans and social injustices by putting somebody in the position of saying, okay, we're going to keep somebody on monitor this. We're going to keep our thumb on this. To me, it's like having a head coach. You always will have a head coach on a football team. This position that the NFL and every team is creating, this kind of position, kind of like player engagement, will keep their thumb on the pulse of what's going on in the community and continue to be activists, and not only being activists, but to organize steps and manners to help level the playing field. So to me, it's a tremendous hire. She's phenomenal. She's from Jacksonville. She's a wealth of knowledge and just a all-around great person. And so I'm excited about the position, excited about the hire, and I know she's going to do a wonderful job at it.
Yeah, I'm gonna track her down because I want to get on the show. I'm proud of her.
Yeah, we can definitely get her on the show.
Being a native from Jacksonville, man, I was really proud of the move. And to see a young lady take that role and hold on strong to it, man, it really said something to me about the Jaguars. Because a lot of times people don't realize the things that happen in a Jaguar organization or any NFL or NBA organization. And people don't see it all. Like somebody said to me, well, Shah Khan won't give to my charity. And I said, well, you know what? Shah Khan probably gives to 150 charities, and he can't give it to everybody. So somebody's gonna be left out and somebody's gonna be mad. And when you start talking about the community, you got somebody that's from the community, understand what the community want, can go out there and help get some things done. And when there's injustice, she can bring it and say, hey, the Jaguars don't agree with this, and we're going to stand up for this. And I think it was a very great move by the leadership. I mean, and I tell people this all year. I've been saying this, and not just because it's you, Marcus, but I've been saying all year, the pieces of the puzzles that the Jaguars are starting to put together, I'm really impressed with, because it's not just about the Jaguars anymore. It's about the Jaguars and the community. Yeah. And those two pieces have to be together, and they have to come together, or it's not going to work. And so, if it wasn't for COVID, the only thing I'd be fussing about now is I want to see players out in public like Big John used to be. I tell you, I say this all the time. People laugh at me. John and Chloe would go out, man. I tell you what, they would speak to anybody, talk to anybody, and they were just that normal. Hey, we just normal people, and Freddie T was the same way. I don't know what, somebody said to me, well, Fred Taylor didn't sign my autograph. And I was like, let me tell you something. Fred is about he's about as bad as John about, I'm not leaving till I sign everybody's autograph and hug everybody's neck. I remember those days. And, Fred was like that. Keenan McCardell was very reachable. I mean, so, once we get past all of this, my hope is to see the Jaguars flower like the players of yesterday, where they say, hey, I'm just a normal person, glad to meet you, glad to see you. And that goes a long way. And Chloe was instrumental in a lot of things. A lot of people don't that football wives, that's a hard job.
I want to go back to a point you had made a while ago, and I don't want to leave the show without elaborating on it. It was not to get you off topic, but you asked a question about the police. And this is just something I believe is our people, you were talking about, Letitia, I'm sure these are the type of things we want to address, even with civil rights. We talk about police brutality and everything that's going on in America right now, the Black Lives Matter movement. One reality that we need to start teaching and speaking about to our kids, those 15-year-olds, our people in general, is the reality of the jail system. And, how it even came about. There was no jail before slavery ended. The jail institution was only created to lock up Black people, to put people back in jail that had been, or back in imprisonment or enslavement that had been released from slavery. People were locked up for nothing, and they were in jail forever. And it's nothing different from what's going on now with the 3 strikes you're out rule and people that are doing 30, 40 years for minor drug trafficking. Our jails are 65% African American or some type of African descent. We only make up 6% of the population, but you have companies like JCPenney that get free labor every day off making their products from people in jail. And there are multiple billion-dollar organizations that profit every day off the backs of people in jail. It's modern-day slavery. You deal with where we are now with the NBA lockout. Politically, what can change? We can pass that anti-slavery or that anti-lynching law that we've been trying to get passed since the 60s. That will keep the cops from being able to just shoot us and kill us and not be held accountable, because it puts it on a federal level. So there are real things that we need to be trying to talk about and deal with and not be in denial about. Defunding the police is one thing, but at the end of the day, this law that we live under when it comes to jail, it was never made to benefit Black people, period. It was made to enslave Black people and re-enslave Black people. And that's what we're facing, and that's what we're dealing with right now. There are things like the anti-lynching that can help protect the level of the way we're being disrespected. No, they won't just be able to kill you on camera and never get prosecuted and never get convicted, because that's what's happening every day. And I think it's a message that's being sent to us as people. It didn't just start happening. Like you said, now we're just catching it on camera. But you look back at all of the lynchings and all of the killings, it's been consistent. It's been consistent year after year after year after year.
I think a lot of, I don't know, Cedderick, how are things? I meant to ask you this earlier, because one of the concerns that somebody asked me to bring up on the show was, and Marcus, you can feel this because your daughter plays basketball. What happens if everything stops and there's no sports across the board for 6 months? And this is a real question, and I'll start with you, Cedderick, and I'll work my way around, because I grew up in the hood. So I understand what it's about. And I understand remembering guys that didn't grow up with silver spoons in their mouth that made it, and because they had football in their life, and they had somewhere to go after school. What happens when they don't have somewhere to go after school?
The issue, honestly, when you shut down the way we did, and it was something, don't get me wrong, that was needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But once you shut down the way we did now, like the city programs, high school programs, all those things that were keeping kids out of trouble aren't there anymore, because parents, unfortunately, still had to go to work. Mom and dad still had to go to work, so now you're leaving a kid home to get in all kinds of trouble because there's no gym. As a football coach, as a coach, period, I was able, in season or even out of season, I have my hands on my kids. I know where they are. At least from 8 in the morning until about 6 in the evening, they're with me, whether it's in school or in the weight room or on the football field. And I saw a lot of kids throw their lives away during this pandemic because of ignorance, because there's too much time on their hands. There's a block party. There's kid
Right.
like I had honestly a kid who was going to be a 3-star athlete coming into the senior year can't play football anymore because he was standing out in the convenience store. Fight broke out. Kid went to shooting in the air. He got shot in the back, shot in the arm. The bullet is large inch away from his spine, and he can't open his hand anymore. Like if we had school, kids wouldn't be out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Parents wouldn't, and it goes back to parenting. Like, why is your kid hanging out at 2 o'clock in the morning? Who is like 17 years old? We got to take back. You can blame the police so much, but we have to eventually take back our community.
Yes.
And I'm kind of off subject, but you guys are high profile people. Y'all are NFL wives, NFL players. We got to stop entertaining the BS. Like the stuff they're feeding our kids on YouTube and what they're calling entertainment isn't entertainment anymore. Like there's no more Outkast. There's no more true Kendrick Lamars. Now we're stuck with Percocets, Mollies, and all of like that's what our kids are talking about. And it's brainwashing us and the white community. And I'm not trying to be racist at all, but they're pumping our kids into believing like that's the way you're going to make money. And I'm going to sell out my community. And now we're stuck looking stupid because that's all these kids know.
And that's why I asked the question. What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I don't know. CG, that's a tough question to answer because I can't imagine being in the house with my wife and kids for 6 months, first and foremost. I go crazy. That's just real. And then secondly, I think it'll really impact a lot of young lives. I think, people, sometimes people get the conception of kids playing sports is to make it to the pros. But I'm a firm believer that it builds other attributes that are non-tangible when it comes to playing sports, other than making it to the pros. And so if you have an opportunity like a high school coach, because I thank my high school coach every day because I didn't really have a dad around. And so like you were just asking Coach a few minutes ago, he's a dad to 95 players. And to me, he's spread thin. But if I not had that opportunity to grow and flourish under someone of his tutelage and understanding and experience that he had achieved to that point, my life wouldn't be where I am right now. So I think sports is a huge advocate for helping steer kids in the right direction, and not to have it would be a huge hindrance to the development, in my opinion, not just scholastically or anything else, but just some of the intangibles: work hard, dependable, reliable, being on time, being a teammate, being, so many things that come along with that. So to not have it, I think would be a huge issue and detriment to life in general.
But is us not competing, does that still take from you gathering with your guys and going through and walking through plays and keeping the exercising and the coaching going? Like, we're talking about them not competing against other schools, not us taking the aspects of sports away from them and out of their lives. No one agrees more than me with you. I played soccer, I played basketball, I played baseball, I ran track. You know what I'm saying? Like, all year long, I was in sports. That was the way of life. And I totally agree. My kids the same way. They go from one sport to the next. But when it came time for us to deal with the reality of what we're dealing with, we had to sit our kids down and explain to them the reality of what we're dealing with. Now, did we take everything from them? No. I take my kids out, I ride bikes with them, we go play tennis, we run around, and this is a time where we have to really encourage our parents, and I know that everybody's parents is not going to do it, but that's when those people like Coach, they can take up that slack, and that's been put in that position by God to mentor. We have to think of other ways to get our children, keep them safe, keep them active outside of the bubble, instead of bringing together as many people as we're bringing together, and jeopardize them. I definitely don't think we should take sports from them. I just think we need to think about a safer way to have them come and interact. And right now, I believe competition is just not, it's just not.
So I can agree with that. So it's the competition aspect of this whole sports that you have an issue with. I got you.
Just the competition right now. I mean, we don't want them just sitting at home being constipated. They got to get up and run. That produces positive endorphins. It keeps our mind going, our blood circulating. Like, I'm all for that,
Yeah, I was talking to one of the college coaches the other day, and to your point, they talked about just working out, continue to do drills and 7-on-7s. But I know for me, I would lose my everlasting mind to train for 3 months and not use that training against somebody else to see how sharp I really got. You know what I mean?
Like playing in a mural. Like, I mean, when you're scrimmaging against your teammates, like it builds, makes you better. You know what I mean? And we know we got next year, but that's when we just have to start speaking that and helping them to understand. Because in reality, like I was telling John, our athletes, me being an athlete, I feed off my coach's vibe. You think about Paul, if my coach get pissed off, I'm gonna get pissed off. If my coach say we're gonna man up, we just gonna take this one, y'all, we good, we can come back, then that's gonna set my mindset to think that way too. So just in our leadership position, we have to steer our kids to understand this is not the end. We're gonna do everything we can do to make things right for you. But in the meantime, let's keep pushing, let's keep going, let's keep building strength. Let's keep ourselves conditioned. Let's keep our mindset right. We got to speak that positivity into existence. And in the meantime, we start writing the NCAA, writing these different organizations to see what are we going to put in place for our seniors? What are we going to do for these children to make up for what they've had to lose this year? Because we can't just leave them out here like that. The NCAA did it for their seniors. We need to do it on a high school level. On a football, NFL level, I thank God, like I told John, they're in a position, they're blessed, they can go home and they can sit down. The NFL is in a position with billions, they can pay our players contracts and it's not going to kill them. It's a sacrifice, but at the end of the day, we sacrifice every day. Our players sacrifice every day for the owners of the league. And it's just a point where we got to put our pride aside and we say we're going to lose on this one. We're not going to make the money like we've made it. And I just think those are the hard decisions that people don't want to make because nobody wants to lose and nobody wants to let go.
So, Cedderick, before I end the show, I got a big question.
Okay.
Before I end the show, I got a big question for Cedderick. Tell me about the Netflix.
Oh, man, how do you know about that? That's cool. Man, y'all
want to know about that. I'm not ending this show without.
No, so that Netflix thing was a blessing and a curse. All right. I'll give you the whole rundown. I checked my email one day and and I'm always good about checking emails because I email so much film out, in season and out of season for as far as football is concerned, trying to get kids into school. And I get this thing, I got a high profile quarterback. And I look up, it's like, and I had never seen this show, QB1, but they're like, click on this. We're interested in following Anthony around. And I think he had just committed to Florida or something like, or was about to commit to Florida. But I checked it and I called the lady like, yeah, we want to follow you guys around and follow Anthony. We think it'll be cool, right? So I'm like, cool. I'm thinking everything is good. Why not? And let me venture away. I coached at a predominantly black school on the east side of Gainesville, in the hood. Projects are everywhere. And I was like, why not bring publicity to this school and try to bring us publicity in a positive light? Everybody looks at us as being the thugs of the bunch or whatever. So we're all ready to film, and the school board attorney tells me, no, we're not going to do this because of like a few words in the contract. So then eventually some people find out that the school board has said no, and the school board didn't even know about it. The lawyer never put it up to the superintendent's desk. So we go like 48 hours of complete pandemonium where people are willing to boycott the school. Mom's upset, like, I can't believe y'all are going to do this, because she was more along the lines of, we're bringing positive energy to the school and to his friends, not just him. Like, everybody's going to benefit from this, and it's going to cost no money from it. And like I said, 48 hours later, something that could have been done in 4 hours was done in 48, and we were on Netflix. And It's crazy. It's supposed to come out, I think in September. But you go every day, and you NFL cats know this. A camera's in your face all the time, and you forget sometimes that you're mic'd up. Like I had to become a different coach. I didn't cuss too much. So it's crazy for me. Like I look up over your head, you got that Mike Bloom thing, just sitting there one day. You got guys sitting off in the woods. You got like it's crazy. And they don't stop recording, and that's the funny part. Like until you get back to the school, the cameras are rolling, and they're following him around, following me around. So, and as a coach, man, pregame, you don't know what you're saying. Like you're just snapping and you're going and you're talking. So I'm interested to see some of these pregame speeches that I did. Like I know one, like I completely blacked out. So I know I said some foolishness. So I can't wait.
Coach, they should let you. You should have put in there. You need to see the edit before they put it out there.
Hey man, listen. The speech I gave, it might be like the opening credits. Like that's how crazy it was.
Yeah, that's great, man. Because
that's good stuff.
I tell you what, if they would have let you do it, you'd call Chloe. She'd have took care of it.
Chloe would shut it down.
I don't know her, but she's spicy. She can represent us any day.
That's right.
Give me a call. I got you on that.
Hey, so you guys know, and everybody know, in a couple of weeks it's gonna be ladies' night. We're gonna have Chloe. We're gonna have my sister. A couple of other ladies. They're gonna host the show. We're gonna have a lot of the football wives on. They're gonna get to talk their noise. We're gonna hear some real stuff about what happens with Marcus.
Your wife's gonna join us?
Yeah, I can talk to her about joining. Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Let me know date and time. I'm sure it won't be an issue. She'd love to.
Oh, that would be awesome. Tony, make sure you give him the information.
Oh yeah, Marcus, look here. Marcus know he got an open invitation anytime he want to come on the show. Marcus, I'm glad. And Cedderick, you have an open invitation, man. Let us know what's going on with the kids. This is a big thing that's going on around the world, and I'm very passionate when it comes to the kids. I got grandkids coming up, and hopefully we never have to see a year like this again. But one thing about us, we're strong, we'll endure, and it'll make us better. And I believe every time something bad happens, it makes us better, it makes us stronger. And this 2020 is just full of things that happen. I turned 50 in October, and I'll be happy just to see 50 and say, I made it.
You're 55, Tony. You did not turn 50. You're 55.
I look 34, though. I'm going to let y'all know.
Real age over there.
Hey, so listen, before we go, we're going to start with Cedderick, work our way around. Any last statements, throw it out there. It doesn't matter. We live and we have fun.
Oh no, man! I appreciate being on this, man. This is one of those bucket list type things. I actually had a question for Marcus. Like, as a young black coach, and I don't consider myself young anymore. I've been in the game for 18 years. How do you move up to the next level? Like, I've done the head coach thing. I've done all the right things. Like, kept my nose clean, toured the country. Like, what's the next move? Like, how do you make it not being an NFL guy to like get into work in the office and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Tony, if you give Cedderick my number, I can give you more pointers offline. But to me, it's like anything else, is building relationships. And I'm working on a plan and a strategy for high school coaches, just to sample like training camp. And I know it is very similar to the time in which you're working, with your kids. But I'm trying to figure out when we can create a space to get some high school coaches some looks, just to see what it's like at this level and build those relationships, because it's hard for you to build a relationship with a pro organization when you don't have that contact. So I'm trying to work on a way, because I'm a youth football director too. Just trying to work on wish I were closer in our market as opposed to being in Tampa's. But I'm working on something. So let's talk. Tony, if you give him my number.
Absolutely.
Let somebody give him my number, then we can connect and see what I can do to help. Absolutely.
Cool, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Last words from you, Marcus? I'm gonna say Chloe for last.
Yeah, say Chloe for last. I was just about to say I wouldn't want to follow her anyway. You know, you had them preachers that get up and they get started hooping. You're like, oh man, I got to get up and talk behind this dude.
Okay.
So I think I'm you know, I get a chance to do it. I enjoy doing the show, and it gives me an opportunity to continue to sharpen my skills in this space. But I really do appreciate you pointing out some of the issues, Chloe, your passion about your stance on why we should shut it down. I really appreciate it, because if you can convince somebody with your passion, you got a fan. And I'm a fan of your passion and shutting it down and what needs to be done to make certain we get through this pandemic together.
I'm gonna go next. So Chloe, you're gonna have to do the JFL hooping, hollering like your husband would do. For me, I would like to thank everybody for watching the show again. We always have a great show, and it always turns out every week we say, hey man, this show was better than last week. And then for Swag's not here. Swag's at work. John's out at work doing some stuff. So me and Marcus took the show. Me and Marcus, we got Chloe in here. We said we're gonna take it by storm. And ladies and gentlemen, please go vote. I don't care who you vote for. Please go vote, because it's very important. And now I'm gonna turn it over to Chloe. She's gonna do our ending note.
Hey, Big John. I just want to tell you guys, thank you first for having me on here with you all. It was a lot of fun. Thank y'all for tolerating me. Cedderick, I would also love it. Are you married, Cedderick?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, if your wife could come on with us too, that would be awesome, because I would love that perspective of, you know, the mothers of the high school students too. And being a wife of a coach, like, we want that perspective. So if you can ask her, same thing, Tony, you send him that information. And I'm gonna close it.
I thought you were trying to set him up.
This is JFL Live. We appreciate you guys for coming out, hanging with us today. Go on there, send us some likes, subscribe, all that good stuff. And most importantly, please stay safe. And
where's the Duval at?
Duval!
Hey man, y'all have a great evening. Marcus, I'm going to Soul Food Express.